Hello. Hi. Seems I'm all by myself right now, and I wanted to test my audio and know if you can hear me clearly. If anybody has joined in, can you just say a hello to me in the comment section to let me know if I can be heard? Hello, good evening, Ajay. Can you hear me clearly? Hi, Juhi. Good evening, Jigna. All of you can hear me clearly? We are ready to go in a few seconds. We'll go live. Yes. Yes, it is 5 p.m. and before I'm accused of following Indian stretchable time, I'm going to roll. I'd like to start by doing a quick check in. Let's ask ourselves, what are we feeling right now? What's alive in me at this very moment? What am I feeling? Could you just type in one word in the comment section to let me know what's alive in you at this moment, what you're feeling? I'm waiting to hear you. I'm waiting to read your responses to know what you're feeling at this very moment. I'm feeling happy. Happy to be here with all of you to share something that is very, very close to my heart, very dear to my heart. I'm also grateful to the Kalorex group for giving me this platform to be able to share what is very dear to me. Also feeling a wee bit weird because I'm a complete people's person and I get my energy from interacting with people. I know you are all out there, but I can't see you, I can't interact with you. This is going to be more of a monologue. It feels strange, but that's how the cookie crumbles, and I guess this is also the new normal. And I have to embrace it and live with it. But in my heart of hearts, I'm hoping this too shall pass, and soon we will be having in person interactions. So, good evening and hello, and thank you for joining me today in this talk. For some time now, we've all been doing, moving at an unprecedented, unparalleled pace. But this evening is about slowing down. I'm advocating a change of pace. And this process of a pause, of stepping back, is very similar uh, to taking care of yourself. It's like opening an umbrella before a downpour. And this process of opening an umbrella is the theme of my talk today. We live in a world which churns in emotions. We are often tossed, uh, confused, agitated, disturbed. And if we are aware of what's happening within us, we come to some balance and some peace. And if we are disconnected with ourselves, we're completely lost. This evening is about self connection, self empathy, and self care. How can we take care of ourselves, and why do we need to take care of ourselves? I'm going to be introducing you to a communication model with which practice leads to transformation. And transformation doesn't have to be a 180-degree turn. It doesn't have to be flipping yourself upside down, inside out. It could be as subtle as a pause before responding. It could be as simple and as small as a baby step towards self care. I read recently a quote which said, We're all in the same boat, but not in the same storm. And I couldn't agree more. There are varying degrees and diverse kinds of changes, threats, and opportunities that each of us is dealing with right now. Our responses to the new normal are also very, very diverse and different. While most sectors were on a pause, education was on the fast track. And a big shout out to all you educators out there. To me, each of you is a frontline warrior too. Because in the midst of this chaos and adversity, confusion, you have tried to reimagine, rework, retool, reskill yourselves at a great cost, often suppressing what's going on inside you. Yes, there is a big world inside each of us, bigger than the one that is outside. And we need to focus on this inner world. We need to illuminate this inner world to make the outside world brighter. And mind you, if we don't do this, there will be a mutiny inside. And this will be our unbecoming. So we need to cultivate, we need to develop this emotional immunity, emotional resilience. And you may well wonder, what is this emphasis on emotions and emotional health? Let me share with you that in the past couple of months, whenever I've interacted with family, friends, educators, entrepreneurs, corporate leaders, the response to my oft asked question, how are you feeling, is often met with, okay, fine, not bad, getting on, this is it. We can't escape it. If I dig deeper, the response would be, what cannot be cured has to be endured. To me, these were not feelings. They were not expression of what was happening, what you were feeling. Maybe the people I was talking to were in denial. Maybe this was a coping mechanism. But in my experience, when feelings are not acknowledged and expressed, they find a way of expression which is not always healthy. To be able to get in touch with your feelings and express them is the way to self-connection. And self-care and self-connection is not very selfish. In fact, it helps us to be very effective in whatever field we are working in. We cannot in life always control the wind, but we can certainly control the sails. I'm going to introduce to you concepts and tools which will help us to navigate through life. I introduce to you compassionate communication, the language of the heart, developed by Marshall Rosenberg. Marshall Rosenberg chose to call it nonviolent communication. He was so inspired by Martin Luther King, Gandhiji, and his understanding of ahimsa that he liked to call it nonviolent communication. But I personally resonate with the word compassionate communication more, and that's how I choose to call it. So though Marshall developed NVC, nonviolent communication, as a language, it's a process. It's a process of living and being compassionately with yourself and with others. The whole objective of compassionate communication is to illustrate healthier communication, understanding human needs, human emotions for better relationships. And these relationships could be between a teacher and a child, a parent and a child, grandchildren and grandparents, partners, couples, your relationship with your work, with your domestic staff. NVC trains our thinking, judging mind to be more in alignment with our compassionate hearts. It helps us notice and observe attitudes and words which lead to upheavals in relationships, which disconnect us from our own selves. It helps us create a space to learn new habits. And we do this by a simple 4-step process of nonviolent communication. The simple 4 steps are observation, feelings, needs, and requests. And this is not a linear process. And I, this evening, will not be walking you through the whole process. In any case, this is more of at a cognitive level than an experiential level. My entire talk is more of an introduction to compassionate communication for you. Ideally, I would have loved to make it a process, but right now, this is the way the cookie crumbles. Yeah, so we will be exploring 2 steps of compassionate communication, that is feelings and needs. They are the 2 key connectors. And I said it's not a linear process, and you will understand this more as I take you across these concepts. I help you understand these concepts. Growing up for me, the right way to think, the right way to do things was given more emphasis. The focus was never on feelings. And as a result, my feeling vocabulary was limited to sad, mad, glad, bad, angry, irritated, awesome, later awesome. It was only later when I was introduced to compassionate communication that I understood the complexities and nuances of feelings. Marshall has introduced us to an expanded vocabulary list, and I shall introduce it to you later. I shall share with you the website where you can download this vocabulary, because the more we get fluent with this vocabulary, the easier it is to connect with ourselves. So coming back to feelings, right now we are all wearing masks to protect ourselves against the virus, and that's of course very good. But for the longest time, some of us have been metaphorically wearing a mask. We have been masking our feelings, and it's time to unmask them. To be able to do this, to be able to connect to our feelings, we need to understand words which are feeling words and words which are not feelings. So the key distinction is between words which express feelings and words which express thoughts. Very often we prefix the word I feel to a thought. For instance, I might say I feel after listening to the news that the situation is getting worse. And though here I use the word feel, what I'm actually doing is expressing a thought. I am evaluating a situation. What I'm probably feeling is scared and panicked, anxious. And the funny thing about feelings is that they're very momentary, they're not static. A feeling doesn't last for a long time. We are in this merry-go-round of feelings. The feeling may reoccur. So when I listen to the news, when I hear that the government has banned the Chinese apps, I begin to wonder that are we getting ready for a war? This is just a digital warfare, but are we actually headed to a war? I feel anxious, I feel scared. And after some time, maybe I get a call from a friend and she shares with me something funny, which relaxes me. And that feeling, that frightened, anxious feeling subsides. It may reoccur when the situation changes. But most feelings are momentary and don't last for a long time, except grief. Grief is an emotion which does not have a calendar or a clock to it. And every human being processes grief in their own time and at their own pace. And grief can last over days, months, sometimes years, and needs to be processed completely and fully to be healed again. So, most feelings are static. Feelings are also very polar. In the same situation, two people may feel differently, and there is no right and wrong. This reminds me of a time when I was living in Bombay. I went to Mud Island with my two nephews. They were twins. We went to the Aksa beach. At the time it was monsoon. The sea was angry and furious. We were at the beach and huge waves came crashing to our feet. When the waves kissed our toes, one of my nephews jumped up with joy. He was jubilant and exuberant. And his twin started bawling. He was frightened and scared. And mind you, these were twins, born on the same day, same time. And yet, in the same situation, both of them responded differently. And both feelings were authentic. And we need to honor them and respect them. And we can't say this is right and that is wrong. So, in the same situation, two people can feel different emotions, and both of them are right. Which also kind of tells us that the situation or people are not responsible for our feelings. We feel what we feel because the way we are, the person that we are, and we need to take responsibility for our feelings. The situation or the person may be the trigger for what we feel, but we cannot blame the person or the situation for what we feel. We need to own up to our feelings. We need to take responsibility for our feelings. And at the same moment, we could be feeling a mixture of pleasant and unpleasant emotions. Like in the beginning, right in the beginning, I was feeling happy and grateful and also weird because it seems I'm talking to a screen and I can't see all of you. So you could have a mixture of emotions experiencing at the same time, and it's fine, it's okay. Our feelings are flags and they're messengers. They indicate something very, very powerful to us. And they point us to our needs, which is the heart of compassionate communication. I'm sure at some point in life, all of you have read or come across Abraham Maslow's theory of needs, the hierarchy of needs, the pyramid of needs. At the base of the pyramid, we have the physiological needs of air, water, food. And then you have the security needs, safety and security, health and resources. And then you have love and belonging, intimacy, friendship. And then self-esteem, which is recognition and status and respect. And at the top of the pyramid, you have self-actualization, achieving one's potential. Yes, I know we have modified the pyramid to put Wi-Fi at the base. Yes, and more so in these pandemic times. We can't function without a Wi-Fi. Today we can talk to each other because of the Wi-Fi. But Wi-Fi is not a need. And let me just table this thought right now. I shall come back to it later. Wi-Fi is not a need. Yeah, we can't live without it, but it's not a need. Marshall does not believe in the hierarchy of needs, and He has given us again an expanded vocabulary of needs, not just these 5 needs. I shall be introducing this vocabulary to you later. I shall be sharing the website where you can access it so that you could use it for yourself. It's really fun. Trust me on this. According to Marshall, there is no hierarchy of needs. And the basic premise of compassionate communication is that every human action and behavior is to fulfill a need. Whatever we do in life, we do to fulfill a need. When this need is fulfilled and met, we have pleasant feelings. And when this need is not met or unfulfilled, we have unpleasant feelings. So, needs and feelings are like this. Your feelings can tell you what you're needing, and your needs can lead you back to your feelings. To make it simpler for you, so some of you who have joined in today to this session may have a need for growth and learning. And if you are finding this session engaging, you feel fulfilled, and to some extent, if you are able to have some takeaways from this session, your need for growth and learning would be met, and you might feel fulfilled, you might feel happy. Those of you who feel that this session didn't add any value to you may be disappointed and dejected. So it's important to identify your feeling and your need, or your need can trace you to the feeling, can help you trace your feeling. So whatever we do in life, we do to fulfill a need. These are universal human needs, irrespective of caste, creed, age, sex, gender, sexual orientation. These are common needs. These are life energy. These people call these needs, some people call it medicine, some people call it the reason to live, the purpose of life. These are universal. Like feelings, at the same time, we may have several needs. So while you have a need for learning and growth and you are in this session, you may also have a very basic physiological need of thirst. So you may grab or it's tea time, and you might want to also sit with your cup of tea or coffee. We have different needs, and we need to prioritize these needs and work towards fulfilling them, because when they are fulfilled, we feel happy, we feel cherished, we feel nurtured, we feel balance and power and peace in our life. The needs are never in conflict. Upheavals in relationships happen, and most people think because we want different things. But again, everybody's needs are important, and everybody's needs are valid. As I said earlier, there is no hierarchy. So everybody's needs have to be respected, honored, and valued. So what do we do in a relationship when the needs are different? I'll come to that. But before we go to that, I would like to talk about why Wi-Fi is not a need. Wi-Fi is a strategy. What do we use Wi-Fi for? We use it to connect. We use it to contribute. We use Wi-Fi to hold meetings. We use Wi-Fi to have online classes. We use Wi-Fi to send messages, to connect to people. So our need is connection. When we use WhatsApp or email, our need is to contribute. Our need is to be productive. Our need is to be seen. And that is why we use Wi-Fi. We need to understand what is our need. Similarly, a lot of people say, I need money. But what do you need money for? Money is a strategy. Wi-Fi is a strategy. What is the need? What is the underlying need is what we need to understand. We need money for survival. We need money for self-esteem, status, because you think if I have money, I can buy a big house, I can buy a fancy car, I can take fancy holidays, I can post pictures on social media. That gets me recognition, that gives me status. So we need to understand what is the need. That will really, really help us. Coming back to how needs are not in conflict, it's the strategies are in conflict. Let's assume it's a Sunday post lunch, your parent or your spouse uh, asks you to help cleaning the loft. The need of the parent or the spouse or your friend or your sibling is for order and is needing support from you. And you've had a long week, you're exhausted, and you wanted to flop in front of the television, relax, and you needed space, you needed time to yourself. So you had a tiring, exhausting week and you needed space, and the other person wants support, wants order in the house. Both the needs are correct. If you deny your needs, if your need for relaxation is not met, you may help the person clean the loft, but you'll be resentful, and sometime or the other, it's going to, like a volcano, come out in your expression, or maybe you'll bang the door if you're not articulate and not able to say it. So, what do you do in such a situation? You connect to yourself. You connect to what you're feeling, you connect to what you're needing, and you express yourself. And when you authentically express yourself, when you say that I've had a long week and I really need some me time, some fun, some play, some space, how about helping you out after 2 hours or 3 hours? And trust me, 9 times out of 10, the other person will not react, but will understand what you're going through and will say, yeah, we can, maybe, okay, if not today, maybe tomorrow, or hold you to that promise that after 2 hours, you will help me, get you to commit to helping. The other thing about balance, centering yourself, is also not necessarily that your needs are met. Just connecting to yourself and understanding what you're needing may help you just connect to yourself uh, and still support the other person and ensure that their needs are met. As I said, in life, we have to prioritize our needs, we have to negotiate. You may have planned a holiday because you needed relaxation, needed to get away, and suddenly you get a call from your sibling saying your aging parent is unwell, and obviously your sibling is looking for support, and that's a time when you would put the needs of your parent and your sibling before yours. And that's where emotional maturity comes in. So identifying your feelings and your needs is the way to self connection. And if you're connected to yourself, you feel at peace, you're not agitated. And then when you express yourself to the other person, your communication is not harsh and it's not violent. Um, Violence is not always physical, words also can be very, very violent. I know most of us are very comfortable expressing ourselves with the millions of emoticons that we have on our phone, in our messages. While we are comfortable expressing ourselves with emoticons, I don't think most of us are comfortable expressing our vulnerability, because it's been dinned into us, maybe conditioned, or maybe it's something that we've learned through experience, uh, that vulnerability is a weakness and is not a strength. Sure, it requires a lot of courage to put yourself out there, to be vulnerable. But from experience, I'm sharing that vulnerability is a strength, and then you're communicating uh, from a safer place, and it's very, very empowering. Really, really, I would urge you to try it out. So, connecting to the self is very important. And once you connect to yourself, connecting to yourself, this process of identifying your feelings and your needs is self empathy. Empathy is something that we define very beautifully as putting yourself in somebody else's shoes. But how about connecting to your own feelings? How about really being in your own shoes and understanding what is going on inside of you? So, self empathy is the first step to self care. And once we have, in any conflict situation, or even when it's a hard to hear message, a message which is making us feel uncomfortable, instead of immediately responding to it, we need to pause. We need to connect to ourselves. What is alive in me at this moment? What am I needing? And then we have a choice to express ourselves or not to express ourselves. We can stay with a feeling and need, or we can express ourselves. So, there are two other steps to compassionate communication, which is observation and request. And since I'm focusing on self connection, let's leave it here. This is, if we do this, as I said earlier, we will have inner peace. We will have power in our own world. I did promise you that I would introduce the expanded needs list and feeling list. So there are pleasant and unpleasant feelings, and I have this whole card with me here of feelings, and I'm just going to broadly read out the feeling categories for you. The pleasant feelings can be curious, like alert, energized, engaged, enthused, inspired, interested, intrigued, playful, happy, confident, encouraged, grateful, joyful, hopeful, overjoyed, proud, relieved, peaceful, alive, calm, comfortable, relaxed, secure, strong, satisfied. Some of the unpleasant feelings: ashamed, depressed, discouraged, grieved, guilty, heavy, hurt, unhopeful, aggravated, annoyed, enraged, irritated, jealous, livid, resentful, furious, frustrated, surprised, bewildered, confused, hesitant, shocked, puzzled, torn, conflicted, troubled, alarmed, nervous, terrified, worried. This is a whole range of emotions that, like a pendulum, we swing. And it's interesting to check in constantly. What am I feeling right now? What is alive in me at right now? What is it that needs attention? And the needs that we have, besides air, water, food, shelter, security, health, recognition, acknowledgement, celebration of life, leisure, gratitude, faith, peace, flow, communion, community, inspiration, presence, support, belonging, ease, choice, autonomy, empowerment, spontaneity. I think that's something which is really missing in life right now, because we can't go out, do things which we want, step out on a whim. Authenticity, creativity, um, order, structure, security, to be seen, to be heard, curiosity. I see Neelam says curiosity. Yeah, sure. Vitality, healing, balance, order. These are the various needs. And one very important need is mourning. Very often, when I do workshops, they're very interactive, and I hand out these words of needs. And I tell people that anybody who doesn't thinks that they don't want a particular need can return it back to me. Very often, mourning is a card which comes back to me, because mourning is something that we associate with death. NVC redefines mourning as a loss of an opportunity, um, something that I missed doing. Because if we do not, any regret that you have, you just release it. And mourning is associated not just with death, but it could be just a loss of opportunity, and or something that you had to say to somebody. Maybe you wanted to say something and the person is no more, and you stay with that feeling. You just mourn that opportunity that you did not get or you did not take. So, mourning is also a very, very important need with which we release some of our emotions. So, this expansive list of feelings and needs that I quickly rattled for you is available at the Nonviolent Communication website, which is cnvc.org. Center for Nonviolent Communication.org, cnvc.org. Do look it up, and if you have any difficulties in finding it, in locating the list, you can drop me an email at ozauma@gmail.com, and I shall mail the list to you. And before I take some questions, I would like to read to you a um, very moving, touching poem by Ruth Bebermere. When she embraced compassionate communication, she wrote this. I'm going to read this poem for you. I feel so sentenced by your words. I feel so judged and sent away. Before I go, I've got to know, is that what you want to say? Before I rise to my defense, before I speak in hurt or fear, before I build that wall of words, tell me, did I really hear? Words are windows or they are walls. They sentence us or set us free. When I speak and when I hear, let the love light shine through me. Words are windows or they are walls. They sentence us or they set us free. When I speak and when I hear, let the love light shine through me. Thank you, and I'm open for any questions that you may have for me, any discussions. Just key in your questions in the comment section, and I shall look at them and try to answer them as best as I can. And I don't see any questions. Okay. Let me see. Yeah, I see self-empathy. Suja says self-empathy is the first step to self-care. Some Vandana loves the understanding of mourning. Yeah, mourning is, yes, it's a gold mine for me, Vandana. Instead of Anurima loves the poem. Yes, words are windows or their walls. Nirali has a question. How do people work on their anxiety? So, Nirali, if you're feeling anxious, what ask yourself, what am I needing? Am I needing support? Am I needing security? Am I needing reassurance? Am I needing community? Am I needing a sense of belonging? What is it that is causing this anxiety? Once you connect to your need, you can find strategies to fulfill it. Nirali, does that answer your question? I'm wondering. Nimisha wants to know the name of the poem. It's Words Are Windows or Their Walls by Ruth Bebermere. And what I can do, Nimisha, is post it on my Facebook page. Um, or you can email me at ozauma@gmail.com. Anybody who wishes to know more about compassionate communication, wants to practice it, I'm open and ever willing. I would really recommend that you download the vocabulary of feelings and needs, make these lovely cards, have them around your house, and the whole family can keep checking in to what they are feeling. Um, Best way to emotional health. I don't see any more questions, and I guess that is the end of the talk. Thank you so much. Thank you, all of you. Thank you, Sumitra. I'm just around for a couple of seconds to see if anybody has any questions for me. Oh, no. Yes, Nirali, people are feeling very anxious. I hear you. Uh, and that is why the need for compassionate communication, and sit with the needs cards and look, why are you feeling so anxious? What is it that you're needing? Are you needing support? Are you needing reassurance? You need protection? What is it that you need? Okay, thank you.